So I've been running 34 marathons in 34 days, raising $50,000 for Black Dog Institute. You're probably wondering where all your donations are going. Let me show you where it all goes.
My name's Lindsay. I'm a senior research officer on the future proofing study. I've been in the study since 2019. We know that up to 30% of young people can have their mental health improved through treatment and counselling and medication, but we want to actually prevent the problems from the outset.
So young people's mental health has been getting worse for the last 10 to 20 years, and we actually don't really know why. One of the problems that we have both in Australia and globally is we don't collect good quality data on young people's mental health, and we don't know enough about what are the factors that make them more vulnerable to common mental health problems like depression and anxiety. So when we set up the Future Proofing study, the real drive, I suppose, for our team was to measure lots of different aspects of young people's lives. Who are they spending their time with? How are they spending their time? Are they physically active? How well do they get on with their families? What are their peer connections like? How are they doing at school? We actually just wanted to understand so much contextual information about the young person, but also their lives, so that we could gain a better understanding of what are the most important things that we can do to help protect young people's mental health as they get older. So we started when young people were in early adolescence, so in year 8, around 13, 14 years old, and we've been able to follow them for 5 years and get a really good insight into their lives, their health, their mental health, and importantly, which are the most important factors that elevate risk for mental health problems down the track, but also potentially more importantly is like, what can we do to help them so that they don't go on to develop mental health problems as they move through adolescence. When we look at their sleep data from when they're in year 8 and we look at what happens over year 9, year 10, year 11, we actually find that the young people who are sleeping worse earlier on have a worse trajectory in terms of symptoms of depression and anxiety. Now that is actually really encouraging for people like me and scientists working in the area, because we do have really good sleep interventions. We work a lot in the school and the school system around mental health and wellbeing, but also departments of health. And some examples of the work that we're doing in this space is helping inform some of their priorities. So one area of interest for us has been around gender and sexuality diverse young people. Another area that has been really topical is around the use of screens in mental health. The government is very, very interested in how screen and social media use might impact young people's mental health, both in schools and outside of schools. And in response to that and that need, we've been able to develop a digital literacy program called Teens and Screens, which really helps young people understand what are some of the benefits of being online and how they can go online in a positive way, but also what are some of the risks and how they can cultivate a more positive experience for themselves online. And I think what has enabled us to be able to do this is we have the most amazing team who go into schools and they develop connections with young people. Keeping people in longitudinal cohort studies is really, really difficult, and keeping young people in longitudinal cohort studies is even harder. We've been able to do it for 5 years because of the connections and the relationships that we've formed with the young people and the schools that they're in, and it's really been a partnership rather than, it feels much more like a partnership than a research study. I guess it's now our responsibility to translate those findings into impact, share them with policymakers, share them with the community, share them with families, and importantly, share them back to the young people who've contributed their time into the study. We've got 1 more year of data collection to do because we're really interested in what happens to young people after they leave school and go out into work, study, and so on. That's a real transition, moving from kind of a structured school environment out into the world, and so we really need to capture that data. And so what your investment will fund is actually the people to ensure that that data gets collected, and that we can analyse it and write it up and make sure that we communicate our findings with policymakers, with other academics, with people working in the youth mental health space, so that we can understand what happens to young people through school, after school, and then ensure that that information then gets fed back to lead to impact and change for young people's mental health. A few years ago, data from this study was used on a white paper called Turning the Tide on Depression, and that actually led to a huge amount of funding in New South Wales schools for greater school counsellors and school wellbeing teams. So I guess collectively the findings from this study are being noticed. Everybody is interested in them. They are having a genuine impact, and I guess that's something that I expect will only accelerate as we're able to finish collecting the data and actually, report back on the findings and sort of help governments do more in this space. Every donation matters. We're a small team and we work very, very hard. I guess, we feel like it's our responsibility, having, conducted this study to date, to make sure that we remain engaged and involved in the study and learn as much as we possibly can to make some positive changes to young people's mental health. So no matter how small you can give, we are just so appreciative. And it really helps our team be able to do the work that we really need to do to help people like you.
So we've created two translational material projects at the moment. We've got the Sleep Ninja for the classroom, where we're taking our findings about sleep from the future-proofing study, and we're developing classroom lessons for teachers to run in school where they can teach young people about the importance of sleep, because we found that to be so related to adolescent mental health in our study. So next year they'll be free for schools to run in their classroom. The other project is around screens. So we took our findings about adolescents and the impact of screens on their mental health, and we've developed a program which allows teachers to run lessons with young people to maximize the good of being online and to minimize the harm. So that's another one of our projects.
The other thing that's so wonderful about it is the attention that he's drawing to the problem of adolescent mental health. It's just every day he's out there showing this incredible resilience and commitment to adolescent mental health. And I think that kind of thing just has to show not just how wonderful he is and how committed he is, but also how big the issue is and how much it needs attention. And I'm just really grateful to him for using his platform. He's putting himself on the line every day, 42 Ks. Every day I watch him on Instagram, and I just can't believe that this is what he's doing. It's completely formidable that he's getting up and showing up, and obviously going beyond what is almost humanly capable in order to make this, to make the point and to raise money for this project. We're just enormously grateful to him, and we want to thank him for what he's done. He's an incredible human being.
Amazing. We are so thankful for everything Jermaine's doing. He's putting himself on the line, he's getting up and he's showing up every day to do something absolutely extraordinary. Your donations really do matter. They mean that we can continue our work, we can continue understanding the risk and protective factors of adolescent mental health. And not only can we do this, but we can actually translate all of our findings into programs and interventions that target these factors so that we can prevent these problems from actually happening.